The topics discussed and the information provided on this program is for general information. The hosts of this show are not medical professionals and are expressing their personal views and stories related to their individual lives. Their views are not intended to be used or taken as medical information. If you or a family member have suffered a traumatic brain injury, you should seek help from a practicing licensed physician.
Good afternoon, wherever you are. I'm Malin Whitaker, and welcome to Brain Mechanics. This is a show of opinion about traumatic brain injury and other brain conditions that are out there that affect you, me, families you know, somebody out there. We're neither doctors, nor lawyers, nor nutritionists, nor medical advice of any kind, but what we are is we're people that have been there, done that. Today we have Nancy, Hannah, and Cindy. And also our ineffable host of hosts and master of ceremonies, Matthew Duffin. We welcome you to today's edition of Brain Mechanics. Thank you.
I thought I was the master at arms.
No, negative, huh?
Oh yeah, they took all that away when I died, didn't they? Mm-hmm. Hello, welcome. We had a fun month last month with the racers. Now we get into baseball, my home. But first, I want to tell you about my type of baseball, which of course is for the handicapped and mentally disabled. I found this 5 years ago, and they had been playing in Newcastle for 5 years before that. The reason why? Cindy Brooks ran all this program together, the Miracle League, for Hannah. Mm-hmm. Hannah wanted to play baseball. Her brothers played baseball. They have a baseball diamond in their side yard, for cripe's sake. I mean, it's really nice. And no, I didn't cuss. I said cripe.
I got it.
So anyway, it's lo and behold, now there's probably over 300 of us that get to play baseball. But anyway, we'll get into that later. I want to start being serious. About things that can happen. Hannah was born one time, a little late actually. She had a condition that I can't pronounce. I don't get into all that. She had too much water on her to begin with, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Hydrops.
Hydrox. Mm-hmm. She wasn't supposed to live through the weekend. I can identify with that, sugar pie. When you're not supposed to live through the weekend, everybody just starts freaking out and selling and figure out where you're going and, you know, digging you a hole. And next thing you know, they put it off till the next weekend that you ain't going to make it to. Mm-hmm. And then the next year, you're not going to make it to. No way you're going to make it. They just can't do it. You ain't going to be able to talk. You ain't going to be able to walk. You ain't going to be able to play baseball. I see Hannah play baseball. Mm-hmm. Yes, she's in her wheelchair. Yes, she's very active. Why? Because she comes from a family of love, a family that cares. Much like Malin does with Tanya, this is how it happens. This is how your survivor gets better. That or they take 4.5 years of classes.
There are other ways. I'm
not supposed to talk about that, am I? No, family. Family that has time to spend with you. You know, you're going to have time. You're going to have help. Just the way it is. Mm-hmm. Somebody loves you, they're going to help you. If not, I don't want to get into that. Happy show. Because I have the happy and lovely. Sorry, Alan. Cindy Brooks, Hannah Brooks, and Nancy Henshaw, which I'm real pleased to have. Pretty, isn't she, people? Yes, I'm flirting. And, you know, I'll get back to the serious and the traumatic part. Of course, she was your first child, too, out of the 4 you have. You have 4 children?
I do, yep. 3 boys and Hannah.
And Cindy's still a young lady. She has all these kids. She's a tri-high Titan. They call it burgundy. I still call it maroon. I'm from Milton. And actually, her caregiver for the last 11 years is a Nicetown Panther.
Yep.
And they coordinated real well together. There wasn't no fight. There wasn't no Lincoln and Hagerstown, we can't ever get along. This is a marriage that works. And they're not married, no. This is a marriage of people.
Common
Look at that
purpose.
smile. And the Yankee fans, we'll get into the Dodgers part here in a minute. Of course, I'm not a Yankee fan. I'm just promoting. Because Hannah's a big Yankee fan, and we have several teams in our league, all with our own names.
Mm-hmm.
And Cindy put all that together, and I'm getting lost real quick because I want to talk about your family, Cindy.
Right.
And I'll shut up.
Okay.
I mean, because it's a wonderful family. I know them all.
Right, right. We've come to know you very well in the last several years, too. So
I
that's
shut up
good.
long enough for you to do that?
It was tough, but with
It
a
was
crowbar
tough.
we can wedge in
Right.
there.
Because I will listen. No, but you're young when Hannah was born.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You're getting ready to have your first child.
We didn't know that there was something wrong in the beginning. So
No.
we went in to have her because she was not, decided she didn't want to come on her own. And it wasn't until about 3 or 4 hours into what we thought would be a perfect, time of labor and everything that they came back and said that there was something, that there was a problem. And so we went in for an emergency C-section, and I didn't know how bad it was until I woke up and they had told us that Riley Hospital was on their way. She was going to be airlifted to Riley Hospital because she was very sick. They didn't know the diagnosis at the time, and they didn't know for several days because it was very rare.
Did they airlift you at the same time? Just
No,
wondering.
no, I stayed in Henry County. She went to Riley Hospital.
So you're released and then you got to go out there?
Yep, 3 days later, so it took us a while to get there. I was very sick myself. Come to find out, I was very sick. But she, when they called me and said that she probably would not live through the weekend, and I needed to get there as soon as possible. That children who have hydrops, fetalis is what it's called, she absorbed all of that fluid inside of where she was, in the room here. And she said, or the doctor said that she probably would be blind, have a heart condition, lung troubles and different things like that, and so that I needed to see her as soon as possible. Right after she was born, she did have a stroke and had stopped breathing, and the pediatrician, Dr. Gould there in Newcastle, revived her at that time.
Do they know how long she was out for?
No, not very long. She didn't go. He was there when she had the.
Still was an infant to shut off
right.
some brain, some
thought she
blood
was.
flow. And
He actually thought she had a seizure, but then later they realized that she had had a stroke, which would get us into our 3rd year of her life. And they found out she had this very rare blood disorder. There's 1 of 12 of her in the United States, so she's very rare. 1 of 21 in the known world as a few years ago. But they told us she wouldn't live through the weekend because hydrops is so rare, and it had so many other conditions. As you can tell, she's not blind, she doesn't have a heart condition, and her lungs were completely fine, and her kidneys and everything began to function 2 days after she was there.
would the stroke have a lot to do with the mental?
Yes, which would cause her to have the cerebral palsy, the going without oxygen for a short period of time, right, when she was so
such
little.
a baby.
Right, absolutely. And
Still a baby.
yeah, they told us that she wouldn't live through the weekend. Then they said she'd never live to be 5 because it was so rare. And then she'd never live to be 10. Then it was 16, and we had a huge party when she was 16 because that was such a great year. We made it to 16, and said that no one had ever lived past 21. And so Hannah's 23. She'll be 24 in December. So we're just pushing through. The major medical advances that we have has helped her quite a bit to be able to survive what she has
So
right
when
now.
the other children were being born, you know, when you and Alan got married and started having children, 3 boys, by the way.
They were all tested. They were all looked for this protein C deficiency, which is what Hannah has, which is
Nothing.
nothing.
It's just a very
It's
rare.
genetic, very genetic. So, and they all, you know, take care of her and provide for her different things. And so, but yeah, it's a genetic feature. It's a really kind of the medical things is crazy like that.
Beyond amazing.
Right.
Riley do most of the work then?
Riley in the beginning did do most of the work. We came across, once we found out that she had the protein C, we saw a hemophilia and thrombosis center at the time they were at Riley. Dr. Amy Shapiro was Hannah's doctor at the time, the hematologist. She's the one that diagnosed her with the protein C because Hannah got a blood clot in her leg when she was only 3 years old. And so they knew then there was something very major going on. And,
This is rare. Do they go through like the Mayo Clinic because they're Methodists to have enough cases of it on their own, or go to Cleveland Clinic? Or
It took us a long time to.
Right.
And when they found it, she came in and said, "I want you kids to go buy a lottery ticket because this is so rare that you should be, you know, you should buy a lottery ticket." That's how, you know, the odds are. But she. When they finally found it, and then it was learning how to deal with it. We did multiple case studies out of Indianapolis, and where we would go in and they would have to put a port in to give us what was called protein C at the time, and at the time you couldn't get it in the United States. It was only for compassionate use, and you could go to Sweden and get it for free, but I didn't want to move to Sweden. But they did come up with something called fresh frozen plasma, which is spun out from your blood. Hannah was allergic to it, and so that was another issue we had to deal with. But eventually we did get approval, and the FDA went through all the studies that we have, and the FDA did approve that in the United States just a few years ago. So now if she has issues of blood clots or anything from this, we're now able to get, it's a synthetic protein C, but it helps her to be able to recover. So I believe that's why she's 23 now, because we went and did all these case studies and helped them to see why we need this.
And I want you to know, because I've raised children of my own, she fights with her brothers, they fight with her, they love with each other. She's not going to get hurt in Newcastle without somebody paying a huge price. I do know that.
Right. She yells them by their first and last name when she's mad at them. So she's learned to, you know,
Coming on
lay
and
the
on.
hammer down when she needs to.
Well, I've noticed some different changes in her in the 4 years, just, you know, that I've been able to observe her. Still can't hit the ball. I'm joking.
I do too hit that, don't you? You hit the baseball, don't you?
Nancy's saying, wait a minute, we hit the damn ball. What?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, it's so with her brothers and then playing baseball. That's kind of how we got into doing what we do, and
right.
and getting to know. That's how we have gotten to know you, and getting involved with other people who have traumatic brain injuries, and being able to support them through you. You know, with what Hannah's had, and several of our players and friends that we've been able to talk to them about what you've done and how you can help them.
We're just
too.
opening up some doors up there, Cindy.
Right.
I think it's just wonderful what I believe we're going to be able to accomplish. Because I have people like Cindy or
This one.
Nancy.
Yeah.
I know you're still very young, and you've been with them for 11 years. Gives a little bit of your age away, because you've told me you've done this since you were 19 professionally, and you did it even as a child. Elate, please, a little bit, because you don't have a brain injury.
I don't. I started working with kids with special needs when I was very young, babysitting. I would go for the weekend and babysit for someone that had cerebral palsy. And so from a very early age, I was, you know, it was a big part of my heart. That was just, you know. And as I got older and I decided to go through nursing and everything, and then I got my job at the Newcastle School working with the severe and profound classroom. And I worked there for 18 years. Doing that. And that's where I met Hannah. She came into the classroom I worked in. And So I did that, and I took care of her at home on the side, and now I just take care of her all day long.
I wasn't aware that you taught at Newcastle with
Yeah.
special needs people and kids. And
I did. I was there for 18 years. I started when I was 19.
I was going to say, what did you start when you were 3?
I was 19. 12, yeah.
Cindy, I question it. I mean, it sounds like you've gone to an extraordinary length to help your daughter, and I do understand that, and the people that are watching, I think, would understand that love. But the expense, how have you found or been able to manage when we're talking about protein C from Sweden and synthetic protein C and getting the USDA or FDA or whatever, whoever to approve your use of same? What path were you able to find to keep Hannah going the way you have? It just sounds like most people would say, I can't afford it, you know, I'm at my end.
Right.
Any?
In the beginning, I worked for a company there in our local town. It was called Draper Screen, and they had fantastic insurance.
Okay.
And so in the beginning, when she was first born, you know, we had great coverage. After a few years, I was able to go and work for Ford Motor Company out of Indianapolis that had even, you know, greater insurance, and I worked there for many years until they closed, and then they offered buyouts, and so I was able to go to school and keep my insurance until she was able to get the waiver program, and so once we received the waiver, she would receive Medicaid at that time, and that has been basically for since 2006. She's been able to be on the waiver. So we went quite a few years on the waiting list to become eligible for a waiver for her that would be covers her whole life, and it did cover the protein C and what she needed because it's life sustaining. So. Where there were expenses, but nothing, you know, that we had to really be too worried about just because we had such great insurance that we had. Right now she's on a Lovenox shot, which is fairly new in the last 10 years. And what it is it's like a low molecular heparin, which keeps her blood thin. Instead, most people use Coumadin. And so Hannah uses these injections twice a day. And so that helps sustain her and keep her from having the bruising and everything like you get when you have Coumadin and things like that. But without the waiver, we definitely would have been in a lot of trouble.
So the natural tendency of this peculiar disease is that the blood tends to want to clot then?
It does. Protein C keeps your blood from clotting. There's protein C and S, but Hannah's has protein C, which is less than 1%, so she has almost none in her system. And so she has
What's normal?
Do
you know?
I'm not sure.
No,
but
that's
normally it would be 100% because you have 2 genes.
Oh, okay.
And so we would have, she has 2 bad genes and one that's barely working at all. I carry 1 bad gene and her father carries 1, and so together she grabbed the 2 bad genes. So, but the Lovenox is one of the things that has stepped up to be able to help people who do have protein C. There are several people that have the protein C in the United States. They just have more of it than Hannah does, just like I do. And they can have a successful life. You know, we just have to watch if we have surgeries or things like that. For her to have a surgery, she would have to have the port put in, given protein C several days prior, come off the Lovenox. You know, it's a very big process. So she's had to have some surgeries in the past, but not for several years. That she just has done so well with the advancements. So.
But something I'm struck with, and Matt, I think this is fascinating. I can tell the love that you have here. I see you being a full-time mom and a full-time employee, and all this love.
Commissioner of a baseball league, too.
Well, that's a side job. But
Dealing with 300 handicapped people and 300 buddies.
that's you need a medal or something.
Yeah, I mean, you don't understand what I'm talking about. It's extreme.
what I'm reaching for here is that I understand the mother's love, but there must be some real depth there with family or friends to help.
We have a huge support. And that's one great thing with Hannah. We've always had family and friends that are huge support. Nancy is more like family than a caregiver for our family. One thing that helps drive us is that even though Hannah's ours and we do a lot for this community of people with disabilities, we just feel like they're all our family, you know, and we want to give them the best that they can have. So that's one of the things that with Hannah, and that's a support. But like it is a community, is a support, and that's, I mean, I don't think we could do it without all of them, without my husband and my parents and, you know, aunts and uncles that we have.
You have some depth of family then that's helping.
Right, absolutely, absolutely. So.
Well, they live in Spiceland. Very community orientated.
Well, I think that's evidence here in Indiana in particular. My experience has been exactly that. I mean, Matt, if you'll recall, we knew each other through school, but then we had that commonality of the, you know, he had a brain injury and I had someone who had.
We knew each other because you was older than me than picking on me.
Well, I knew you because your brother would talk about you from time to time, and it was a glowing endorsement, I might add. It was glowing. Let me put it that way. But you know, it's like brothers and little brothers, you know, that sort of thing. But the family type contact, that's neat.
Yeah, that's what keeps you going. Actually, when you think you can't do it any longer, you know,
And
someone will come along. Right, absolutely. There have been times when I think I just cannot go in one more hospital room, or we cannot go through one more surgery or something like that. And sometimes I'm the support for those. You know, we've gone to surgery and I'm just, you know, I'm okay. And then Nancy's crying. She's like, I don't know how you do it. And I'm like, well, we've done it so many times. I'm confident in my doctors, you know. And so sometimes, you know, I may be the support, and then other times they're the support. And that's how you get through everything. So.
Well, you know, Nancy, well, you guys are over here kissing.
Gotta take it when I get it.
I didn't get nothing in there.
Nope.
You're a single mother also.
I am.
Beautiful young girl. I met her a couple weeks ago, by the way.
Thank you.
What's your typical day as a caregiver with a job and a single mother of the job? And, I mean, you get to borrow a family, but you still got to go home.
I do. You know, typical day, you get up, you start your morning, I take her to school. She's a senior, so I don't have much more of that. And then I come and take care of this Hannah. I have a Hannah, and then
Her name's Hannah?
her name is Hannah.
Okay.
And I'm with her all day, and it's just, you know, like you said, we're a family, so it's just like you're hanging out with your family, but I do a little extra, you know.
Are there things you look for her? I mean, I have friends that watch over children like this. They have to watch for seizures. I mean,
Right.
Many. I mean, you never know if they're going to happen. Then all of a sudden they might have 20 in an hour and a half.
Right.
You know, are those seizures? Yeah. If you knew what you're looking for, they're seizures.
Right. That's the one thing that we do look for with Hannah is her seizures. But thankfully, they have her medication squared away right now that she's not having any. But you still have to look for those every day.
Right. It's a typical day. Meds just keep up with. And
Yeah, your daily routine is just like I help her with whatever she's doing that day.
She takes her to get her nails done. They go shopping. They go out to eat. They get to go swimming. Because of Nancy, Hannah gets to have a great life.
A quality of life.
Right, absolutely. I mean, you know, when you're a parent, you're doing parent things.
Right.
And you're, you know, I have to involve all her brothers and, you know, all of those things. Her and Nancy get to have a life. Hannah gets to have a life because of her. So that's one of the things about having a caregiver is that person that they care for gets to have that life and go places and do things.
And one of the things that comes with the traumatic brain injury or with the waiver, call it whatever they will, when we get the waiver, because I had to wait for long, you have to get your name on the list, people. If you're not on there, you're not going to get it.
That's right, very
You're
important.
not going to go get it from the doctor tomorrow. No, I need to be on the waiver list. You have to sign up and wait.
Can you get into that a little bit? I'm not familiar, and I don't know that other people would be. Is that
Traumatic brain injury waiver?
correct?
Well, there's actually, Indiana does 4 different types of waivers. The family support, integration and rehabilitation. They have the TBI waiver and
Perhaps.
For elder care. So there's 4 different waivers, and so because of those, if you can get on those, then you will have Medicaid. You'll be able to have RHS,
Some support or
residential
help.
hours.
Yeah.
You're going to get
You'll-
behavioral services and
An
everything.
Area 9 facilitator or an area facilitator in Indiana will check you out and see what you need, justify how many hours you need.
Right.
I, at this time, qualify for 7 a day,
Yeah.
and that's what I need.
Yeah.
I need 5 hours of a quality of life and somebody to help me clean up stuff and take me to the store and things like that. Hell, they used to take me, they take you to the movies so you can have a quality of life. It's
I think
part
that-
of the waiver program.
But I think this is so important for people to know that there
Right.
are, I mean,
They have to go get signed up. I mean, Hannah at the time was
And
on
that-
the waiting list 10 years, and you do that through your local family social services
Social services.
organization, right? And that,
So they're at
most
county
counties,
level in Indiana
yes.
anyway.
And you
Okay.
have to get, and it is very important that families get that. I have met families who have not done that for their children because they feel like they do not need that because they work for Ford Motor Company or they worked for Chrysler or they work for a company that has great insurance.
Right.
But parents get older and children do too, and they need to have those services in place prior.
Right.
So.
No different than going to Florida. You lived in Michigan all your life. You made a great life. You go to Florida, you stroke out. They put you in a home. They take it all away from you. That's it.
Yeah.
Right.
Your wife is down there with you, has nothing.
Out of luck, yeah.
How what?
Well, that's neat.
And
I
that
think that-
Florida is for another show.
Yeah.
Well, no, I just think it's really
okay.
neat to hear that there is that type of sport. Sometimes we wonder, we gave them all this money, where did it go, kind of thing, and it's good to know that. So it's through social services
Yeah,
at a
family
county
services,
level in
yeah.
Indiana.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Yes.
For the information.
Absolutely.
Or your area, like this is an Area 9 area,
in
Wayne
Wayne
County.
County and Henry County, those are Area 6. So
You guys
there's-
are Area 6?
Yes, so that's definitely important.
Cool.
They might be in Henry County, but they're like 5 miles from me, man. I live over there on that side of the county.
Right.
Well, Matt, we're looking to wrap up here
Right,
very
we're
shortly. Is
slowing
there
down.
a website or any other information that you might want to give out that would be of interest to people?
Well, for our Miracle League, definitely, or if they need additional information about some other things.
And that's Miracle League?
Miracle League. It's the NewcastleMiracleLeague.com.
Okay.
That's our website. And we are also on Facebook, Newcastle Miracle League on Facebook, and it gives
Very
lots
good.
of information about how we all got together and who we are.
And if you can get a hold of Cindy, she's usually very busy with all them things going on, and even helping her. She'll give you some information if you need some. If you're in a situation like this, you're not going to lose the love. And I know I'm running down to my last 30 seconds, so I will say this has been fun.
Thank you for having us. I appreciate it.
Thank you for being here so much.
Good seeing you guys.
you.
Thanks
Thank
for the
you.
information.
The topics discussed and the information provided on this program is for general information. The hosts of this show are not medical professionals and are expressing their personal views and stories related to their individual lives. Their views are not intended to be used or taken as medical information. If you or a family member have suffered a traumatic brain injury, you should seek help from a practicing licensed physician.